Hey y'all, this is Chelsea. Some know me by Chelsea Talise in the model industry in Louisville, Kentucky. This is Beauty and Brains Cognitions of the Creative Season 1, Episode 2. We will be discussing Stalking Awareness Month, which occurs in January. I have my really good friend and very talented photographer here, Antonio Edward, to accompany us on this show. Welcome, Antonio.
Thank you, Chelsea. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. I appreciate you having me on for this very important and very sensitive topic.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. You want to tell the audience who you are and where you are and which industry you belong to.
Absolutely. My name is Antonio Edward. I am a photographer. I specialize in creative portraiture. I'm based out of Indianapolis, Indiana, but I do a lot of work in my hometown of Louisville, Kentucky as well,
Yeah.
and across the Midwest. So I play bass, guitar, and keys. Played in bands for about 20 years. That was my first creative outlet that I discovered before I picked up a camera. Yeah, music is my first love and something that I still enjoy doing. Not at the level that I used to, but I certainly still like to strum a little bit. As a matter of fact, I was playing some stuff earlier today.
Yeah, I love guitar. I love strings. I love strings. That's dope. Welcome, so welcome. Y'all, this is a goat that we got on this episode. Excuse me. I have worked with Antonio quite a few times, and I would say we've produced some heat. Every time we've got three publishings, yeah.
Absolutely. No, you're definitely one of my favorite people to shoot. And every time we do get together and create, I think it always comes out really well. And to your point, we do have several publishings under our belt.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's how we first connected. And every time it's been fire.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, much respect for you, Antonio. I thank you for being here. So we're talking about stalker awareness, and I just think the word stalk has so much fear in it. Like it was also actually one of the episodes where I was like, ooh, stalking awareness. Like when I seen it on the mental health calendar, I was like, sheesh, that's a heavy topic.
It really is. And I think that, um, it's one of those words that can certainly elicit some fear. You see a lot of stuff on TV, you see a lot of stuff online. And unfortunately, stalking can and has certainly led to tragedy.
Mhm.
I think it's a very broad subject. I think it can be a lot of different things, especially with today's world and how connected we are through the internet, and especially in photography and modeling and just any artful avenue that brings you to the forefront of society. It gives you an audience, gives people access to you. I certainly think there's a lot of um, vulnerability in that in general. But when you're presenting to a wide audience, a lot of different people can see you, have this perceived access to you. And I think that stalking in general is kind of rooted in an emotional response, right? It's a something so strong that there's an obsessive quality to it. And I think that can certainly be scary.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the intentionality behind the act. This isn't someone doing a petty crime. In the fashion industry, it could be inappropriately making eye contact for too long. As a photographer and as a model, there are certain boundaries that are crossed in intimate settings when it comes to the fashion industry.
Yeah, and I think that one of the elements of stalking in general, is it's the intention against wishes, and ignoring boundaries, right? I think when someone stalks or a stalker, it's against that person's wishes and intentions. So there's a violation there.
Yeah.
Whether it's a, you know, an overt violation where they are, you know, pursuing and trying to contact and, you know, in the DMs or, you know, changing accounts and changing numbers. And, even though they may know that it's something that you don't welcome, they don't stop. Right. And it's this persistence of a violation that in my mind truly sort of defines stalking.
Yeah.
Because if it was something that you welcomed, obviously it wouldn't be the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that violation is what really makes it, you know, especially, heinous, because that is a, you know, it's a break of your safety. You know, you don't have that safety. You don't have that trust. You're looking over your shoulder, or you're wondering when that next DM is going to come up, or that next attempted interaction, and that can certainly be damaging, in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. You highlighted a good part as far as it being unsolicited or unwanted, and that is one of the main reasons that this also falls under a form of sexual assault
Right,
or just
right.
assault in
Harassment,
general,
assault.
harassment. You know,
Right.
being
Definitely harassment.
persistent in how you're moving. There's a difference between persistence and consistence, right? Like if you are wanting to be consistent about dating someone, okay, you know, you do what you need to do to be heard and be seen, and you know, but when it comes to being persistent, that means continuously doing something without becoming tired. Like,
Right.
and when someone is sharing that they don't desire this and you're being persistent, yeah, that's a violation.
And you know, and that's, speaking of it in the romantic space, it also exists in, in just, disproportional admiration.
Mm,
You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic or a sexual, impulse. It can also just be a blown out of proportion, admiration, even jealousy.
mm,
It can take a really dark turn, and I
mm,
think that I think that a lot of people that fall into this stalker behavior, they are so overwhelmed with their desire or their impulse to be near or interact or, be like that person that they're stalking,
mm, mm,
that they either don't see, they don't care, or they don't pay attention to how uncomfortable that makes somebody feel. I believe from some research I've done and a lot of, stories that I just know personally firsthand, um, it, it's almost like a blind, obsession,
right.
where no matter how uncomfortable that person is, the desire to be near them, or to know more about them, or to get their attention, or whatever's driving that, they don't understand the other side of it, or they do and they just don't care.
Yeah, that's the one. They don't care. That's what makes it deeper than the action. We're dealing with someone who has mental challenges.
Absolutely.
If someone is capable of stalking, there's probably some mental challenges going on. The top two that I can think about as a clinician is someone who experiences um, traits of antisocial personality disorder, and that personality disorder is not what a lot of people think it is. A lot of people say, "Oh, I'm antisocial. I don't like being around people, or I get anxiety when I'm around people." No, someone who's dealing with antisocial personality, they're a sociopath.
Yeah.
These are people who don't care about anyone's safety, well-being, morals, ethics, laws, nothing. They're breaking all of that. They don't care about nobody's safety or theirs.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, sociopaths, they they just really they don't fit into societal norms,
No.
and what is accepted, and, you know, what people are comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have to think that, you know, even something like schizophrenia or some other psychosis, could also
Yeah.
lend itself to that kind of behavior because it's a break of reality.
Mhm.
And it for that person that is experiencing that, it could be really devastating, especially because it's such a hard thing to report and
Yes.
to get the authorities to take action on because with with our rights as individuals, a lot of the stalking can take place before it actually crosses over to criminal.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
there are certain freedoms that we appreciate and enjoy that if they are abused,
Mhm.
it makes it really gray and it makes it difficult for law enforcement to do um, what they should be doing
Yeah.
because you know it's not been defined well.
Mm-mm.
I know a lot of people. I've talked to a lot of people that have had situations and stories where they've actually had to have physical endangerment before they can
Mhm.
take action.
Mhm.
Even though the behavior of repetitive
Mhm.
contact or showing up places and that type of thing can be very stressful and traumatizing.
Yes.
It's there's a fine line there before it actually becomes criminal.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. And like you said in the beginning of the podcast, that a lot of these, if not a lot of these, some of these cases end up fatal because of the timeline between when a victim is trying to report and when the police feel led to take action.
Right.
Because
Right.
apparently it's
Absolutely.
just not enough. It's not enough evidence.
Right. And we're discussing the extreme cases of stalking.
Right.
There are a lot of less severe with less fatal outcomes that take
Mhm.
place. It could be something as somebody just duplicating your every move, right? Because they just have an obsession with what you do and how you move or the success that you're having.
Yeah.
So, I that's something that I've experienced firsthand where an individual started copying a lot of things that I was doing, a lot of things that with photography, just little things that you probably wouldn't recognize at first, but when you see them collectively and you step back and you notice a trend,
Mm.
and it's really weird. It's
Yeah.
kind of alarming. Anytime somebody pays that much attention to you and puts that much energy and effort into um, trying to duplicate what you're doing, and of course they say imitation is the highest form of flattery, but
Mhm.
you start to kind of question how far that's going to go.
Yeah. Because when it's an obsession, we only see what they're allowing us to see, right? So how much are you watching my every move?
Right.
How close should I be to you, or how close should I not be to you? What things should I be sure to hide from you, as far as you knowing or as far as you seeing on social media? Because you did mention that that's a thing.
Right.
That I mean, that's a part of the one of the questions today is the convenience of stalking today.
Oh, it's easier than ever before. I mean, before the advent of the internet, you would have to physically go do this, right?
Hmm.
Now the world is so connected and we see everything and there's so many people that have viewership to your life
Yep.
and a lot of people when they post on social media, I think that a lot of people don't take the time to really think about what that really is and
Hmm.
what that can really lead to. And, all the personal stuff that we do post and all the access that we do give into
Yeah.
our lives. And it's easy to not think about all of the eyes and minds on the other side of that
Hmm.
that we don't know. We don't know their intentions and we don't know what their, what their impulses might be like,
Yeah.
or what kind of mindset these people are in. And we kind of do it freely, and a lot of people, whenever they get that notification that they have a friend request or a new follower, I think we become desensitized to it because it's so,
Yeah.
it's so common now. We might do a quick glance, who's this person? Okay, it's no big deal. But
Hmm.
these are essentially strangers. Even people that you know online that you communicate with all the time. I mean, these are
Yes.
essentially strangers. I mean, you can be anybody you want to be online,
Mhm.
and oftentimes that's the case.
Oof. You could be anybody you want to be. Be
Right.
anywhere. I mean, you can just. I could be somebody totally different on Facebook if I wanted to.
And have any intentions that you want to
Yeah.
portray.
Easily.
Right.
Easily. That is. I mean, we know somebody that we know has gotten hacked, and we've gotten one of those weird ass inboxes on Messenger, and we're like, bro, your page been hacked.
For sure.
Somebody, somebody we know that, and that's just when people get caught. Like our information is out there.
Oh yeah, I mean it's easily to Google and get almost everything about you
Everything.
at the fingertips.
If
And,
somebody wanted to, everything.
and the fact that that's not illegal is insane
Yeah.
because they can get your address, they can get your phone numbers, they can get your relatives. That is,
Crazy.
and if they pay a little bit extra money, they can get a lot more than that.
Mhm.
That's something they can get for free with a quick Google.
Yeah.
Um, but it's out there, and not only individuals, but also corporations,
Yes.
marketing. It is not insulated as people think. Once you're online forever. What you put out there is out there forever.
Yeah.
Um, and legally, it's for public consumption.
Mhm. And you made
So
up a good point with not disclose or discluding um how this can occur in the workplace or in corporate.
right,
Stalking in the workplace is a thing. Um,
sure,
you always go to lunch at this place and all of a sudden so does your coworker
right,
at the same time that you do
right, and
and grabbing a seat for you before you even get there.
yeah, it's like I said, it's a very broad subject. And it can go from just misplaced infatuation,
Mm,
all the way to just full blown um homicidal obsession
sheesh.
and everything in between.
Yeah,
And you know,
definitely
it's
range.
and it's not a victimless crime. Like I said, it really does, like, just the stress of knowing that someone's watching, and that anything that you do, anything you put out, you have to second guess it. You have to kind of think about it. You have to really
Paranoia.
wash it before that is, that's a heavy load to worry
Yeah.
about and to think about all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure that would affect somebody's sleep, somebody's eating. I mean, usually when you're stressed out and you have big concerns like your safety, you're not worried about basic needs like food.
Right.
Safety always comes first. That's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Y'all remember the triangle? At the
Hmm.
very bottom, survival, safety.
Right.
When that
Right.
is impacted, everything falls to shreds. You're not worried about eating today. You're not worried about going to work. You worried about how to stay safe.
Right.
That may look like staying in the house 24/7, only going out when you have to, and what, wearing sunglasses, a hoodie.
And that's and that kind of brings me to another point is, especially in the industry with models, I have seen and heard and have sort of witnessed firsthand um, some really stalkerish behavior that may not necessarily be physical stalking, right? They're not showing
Mm,
up to your house, but I've seen where models will get some success and really start to kind of pick up some traction, and then other people or people that sort of idolize that model lifestyle sort of start to fashion themselves
mm,
after that person, and they start to post things that are similar or make reels with the same songs, or
okay.
and it's easy to kind of go, oh, that was a coincidence. But when you see
Hmm.
it happening over and over, I can literally think of three situations off the top of my head that I know about where they've been imitated, and um, pictures of have been replicated, and
Hmm.
it doesn't. it doesn't feel the same because they're not trying to physically approach, or they're not in your, in your physical area, but
But that's
just
what
that mental
surveillance.
toll it takes to know that this person is paying so much attention to you.
Yeah.
It's just really weird. And some people, they can just easily sort of just brush it off, and
Hmm.
but some people are more sensitive to stuff like that.
Yes.
And it does, it does cause some mental fatigue, and some, some damage there.
The I feel like stalking is such a paradox. Like, it's so quiet, but the actions are so big. Does that make sense? Like, it's so sneaky.
Yeah.
It's so just like unexpected. Like, it's like micro ambushes over a long period of time.
Right. And it's got to be very fatiguing, because I'm sure you're in your fight or flight response mode
Yes.
continually, and just those cortisol levels, and your body being in that state for extended periods of time is
Mm.
harmful in a lot of ways.
Yeah. A continuous amount of time. Because if this is stalking that has been going on for months, hell, I'll even say years. And I bet you, if you think about it, um, there have been people that we've dealt with romantically years down the line. We still have the same number, and they could just text us right now, "What you doing?"
Yeah.
And that's okay. And so it can just be, it could have been a good relationship at one point in time, but I think we can also see when someone has tendencies of stalking, when we have set boundaries of transitioning to another relationship dynamic. If I don't want to deal with you anymore, then how well do you react to boundaries being set?
Oh, absolutely. I personally just experienced this. Not to get too far into it, but um, I think that some people have a really difficult time dealing with that vacuum of emotions of loss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not what they expected. It's not what they had planned. It's not what they want, and it sort of puts them into a mind state of becoming someone that they probably didn't think they could be or expected to
Mm-hmm.
be,
Mm-hmm.
and they are running on impulse, and they're just trying to make the hurt stop.
Mm.
And that really crosses over into that stalkerish behavior, because they're crossing boundaries that make you uncomfortable because of an emotion that they don't have the emotional maturity to kind of deal with.
Spot on. Spot on. And to me, it feels like people who have stalking tendencies, they struggle with a sense of self-control.
Right. No, absolutely.
And it has to be in quite a few areas of your life if you feel that you have to control someone else who doesn't want to put up with you.
Right.
That is a sense of control.
Right.
Wanting
And
to be controlling for whatever purpose you serve them.
right. And oftentimes that control is to stop the pain, or
Mm,
to stop whatever that emotion, that overwhelming emotion that they're dealing with. Um, that is oftentimes why people seek the control, is because they it hurts for the narrative to not go the way they want it to go.
mm.
So it's almost like they become somebody else, and they
Ooh.
do things that they normally wouldn't do
Mm.
because of that drive, that response to that narrative not panning out the way they envisioned it in their heads.
And it's so like, I agree with that, but what I'm saying is the act of this whether we're on the lower end of the spectrum or the higher end of the spectrum as far as the severity. Stalking can be done by somebody we don't know, somebody we've been knowing, somebody we just started knowing. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter the timeline of how long we know somebody to feel like we're being stalked.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I would even say that that has little to do with it, really. Like
Mm-hmm.
your relationship or activity level, interaction level with, people that tend to do this, that could be irrelevant. It's really on their side and what they perceive and how they sort of take you in.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
agree.
that's the scary thing is there could be a whole nother thing going on that other side
Mm-hmm.
that you don't really understand. You don't have any kind of, you know, visibility to or and we don't know how big it is. We don't know where it's going to go. You don't know how dangerous it could be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of it is just that unknown where, okay, this person is behaving in a certain way that's unwelcomed and unsolicited, but you really don't know how far it's going to go or how they're going to take it. Because once you start seeing that sort of out of control behavior, then you start to wonder how bad can this get?
I swear I'll catastrophize it in a minute. As soon as I see somebody doing some weird shit, but I don't know, this nigga weird. Nah, he weird. Like, nah. Sometimes it's just a gut feeling, like
Sure,
you before you can even see the patterns, you feel it. Like, I
sure,
don't know, should I feel weird about this?
yeah,
That's the first like inkling that somebody is showing stalker behavior when you start to question, does that make me feel uncomfortable? Kinda.
right. And I think the biggest sign is just the um the ignoring the boundaries, right?
Yeah.
When that person obviously crosses boundaries or um does behavior that just looks like it could escalate. That's
Hmm.
when you're like, what's
Hmm.
what am I dealing with here?
Yeah, definitely. When you attempt to advocate for yourself and tell somebody this makes me feel uncomfortable, this doesn't make me feel safe, and they don't respect it, number two, that's another sign. It's another red flag.
Yeah,
Folks should respect your space, period. So for people who are dealing with or who have dealt with a stalker before, I think it's definitely important to have some type of like safety plan. Um, this is just something that I would do for my clients in general. Of course, I would say go to the police, but we know that that could possibly be a journey. Um, but for people who are dealing with it, you should definitely have a safety plan, which includes what do we do when these instances happen? Who am I contacting for help when these things happen? What resources do I have in this time? Report everything.
yeah. I think one of the most important things is just speak up, right? Get with your support group or your support you know structure, friends, family. A lot of people, I think they're a little embarrassed of it or
Sure.
they don't want to talk about it, but it's important to make it known. Also document everything. I think communication documentation, making sure that you do kind of put down that paper trail so that if you can escalate to the authorities, that you do have something that they're going to be able to kind of see a timeline on, see timeline of behaviors,
Yeah.
and the repetition of it. I think it's one thing to say, hey, this person's doing X, Y, and Z, but to actually have it documented and then go through that that trouble or that process of putting it down
Yeah.
on paper or whatever, so that when you show the authorities, they'll I think it's a stronger impact
Yeah.
that they understand that this is something that is that's escalated.
And also, when we are recording these things, it's a good reminder to us on what all has gone down. You know, when we're in these type of heightened stress environments or seasons of our lives, we be forgetting stuff.
Right.
We be forgetting stuff because we got too much going on in our minds that I ain't got room for that. I gotta worry about something else. So I can't tell you the amount of times that I done wrote a dream down and swore up and down in that moment I was gonna remember it. Months later, I'm looking at my dream log. I'm like, dang, I forgot all about that dream.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point. It's you know, it's harder to recall sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, with life and everything going, you know, it's hard to like really go back and get the details of the moment. And I
Hmm.
think with anything like that, that accurate documentation is vital.
For sure. For sure. Do you have words of wisdom or encouragement to survivors of stalking or victims currently?
Um, I would just want to make sure that you know that individual just would understand that it's not their fault, and they don't need to carry any kind of guilt or responsibility for that. A lot of times I think that people that are involved in a crime like that or a situation like that, it I think some people can feel like they welcomed it or they invited it or
Mm.
what did they do wrong or you know we can't control what other people do.
Yeah.
You know we can't take the guilt and the responsibility for others' actions um, in these cases.
Hmm.
You know you just have to you know you have to you know, I would even recommend, you know, possibly speaking to a professional,
Yeah.
you know, doing the work. There's going to be damage there, right? There's going to be some trust issues. You're going to have some level of PTSD that I think that you're going to want to address so that you can have healthy connections going forward.
Shoot.
You know, I'd say do the work. You know, don't blame yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. Give yourself grace.
Yeah.
Um, you know, truly truly understand it for what it is and try to you know get to a healthier place um, and understand that it can happen to anybody,
Mm.
right? I don't think that it's a I don't think it's a an exclusive situation. It's not an exclusive you know crime to be a part of. It can happen to anybody, and just you know just realize your surroundings and even your surroundings like online and um, you know that's really all I could probably say on that.
Yeah, no, that was great. That was great. You hit the nail on the head. When you were talking, I couldn't help but to think about y'all. I'm about to disclose. This is our second take on this episode. Our audio did not work on the last one, so shout out to you, Antonio, for doing this again. But you were just making really good points, which reminded me of our first take, where we kind of focused a little bit more on how society views victims of stalking more so to be women, you know, and um, I just want to shine the light on the fact that men do experience being victims of stalking.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think there's a demographic. I don't think there's a sexual preference. I don't think there's anything that really defines or increases the chances of this happening.
Yeah.
I've heard it from all around, right? I've
Hmm.
heard women getting stalked, I've heard men getting stalked. I've had some stalkerish behavior that's occurred for you know against me, and like again, I just think that there is some sort of emotional just impulse or emotional motivation that it's a broken emotion.
Mm.
It's not a healthy emotion. It's broken and it's um and I think that's kind of where it starts at, you know, and I think mental health is a big part of it. And,
Hmm.
you know, I think emotional maturity is a big part of it. And I think it's a lot of things and that can kind of open that up. But,
Yeah.
you know, I don't think men get it more, women get it more. I really do think it's just a human thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely a human thing. And it, again, can occur in any environment, the workplace, whatever industry you're in, extracurricular activities in the family.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just being honest. It happens in anywhere where we have social dynamics.
Right. I do think that there are certain things that can probably put, make it a little more um, potential. Like, again, like if you're online, you have a big online presence,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a large audience, and that's just getting in front of more people, right? I think it just increases your odds. More
Mm-hmm.
people are seeing you, more people are aware of you. Maybe you have a little bit of like internet fame, or you're known locally. Um, Obviously, celebrities. You hear it a lot with celebrities because they have such a large fan base and larger audience,
Mm-hmm.
and you just you're being projected into a lot of different people's awareness,
Yeah.
and I think that can increase the chances that one of those people are going to be obsessive.
Yeah. Every piece of social media that we have is connected to email, first name, last name, birth date, what else? Gender.
Yeah.
People can know so much about us just off of what we give them.
Right.
Just off of what we give them alone. And then to for them to follow our lifestyle as well. Man, we gotta be careful what we put out there.
Well, and I think it's just the nature of social media, right? If
Oh
you're, everybody on social media looks like they have a perfect life.
yeah. Mhm.
We don't tend to often post our downtimes. So people that maybe they're not doing well in life, or they're not where they want to be in life, or and they see this come across, and they sort of latch onto it, and want that, and they gravitate towards it, and it can become that unhealthy obsession that can lead to that stalker behavior. And
Mm.
I just think the internet in general is, I mean, it's an amazing thing, but it's also one of the worst things
Yeah.
that we've ever done. Um, and I think it brings out the good, and um, conversely the bad in a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Temptation, um, I think gets played on a lot because of social media. Like you said, it if someone is showing tendencies of stalking, this is a whole nother side of somebody, right? And so things like social media can definitely pull on those strings just because you can.
Well,
Like just because I can go look at this person's page, I'm gonna do it
yeah,
multiple times a day or like all of their posts in 2 minutes.
yeah, it's the access. It's the unabated access.
Mhm.
That's where a lot of people get in trouble, is that there's so much access to people now.
Yes.
Uh, and you can really convince yourself that these people, or these people are your friends, or you get caught up in, especially if your real everyday life is not what you want it to be, or you're not where you want to be.
Mhm.
um then these people that have these perceived amazing lives, you can just really get caught up in it. And I just think that for certain people that can be dangerous.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. Stalking, I feel like, is in the beginning stages of every like scary movie.
Right.
Just that I don't know, the signs are very like they become subtle. They start off subtle and then they become very abrupt.
Yeah, the escalation piece.
It's very cyclic. It's patterned. Um So I just wanted to say that piece in the aspect of this is something that is continual. This is persistent, unwanted behavior.
I just really appreciate you giving me a space to talk about this, and talk about for a second time. uh
Thank
we had a we had a really good conversation about this topic before.
you. Yeah. We did.
And it's one of those things that I think needs to really have light shine on it and be taken very seriously. And some awareness made because it could be nothing, but it could be something very dangerous at the same time.
For sure.
And and because it is such a broad scope of potential outcomes. It's one of those things that you can really be like, well, this is annoying, or this is stressful, but I'm not going to put too much into it, right? And then it does escalate, and then something really bad happens,
Mm.
and people should take it serious um, and really just make sure that you're communicating that and that you're letting your support system know that this is going on, so that you're not just kind of trying to shoulder it by yourself.
Yeah, trust your gut, man. Trust your gut for sure. For sure. Well, thank you so much, Antonio, for kicking it with me today for this episode on Stalking Awareness Month. You all stay tuned. We'll be talking about teen dating violence and prevention, which occurs in February for season 1, episode 3.